I'm Dr. Joyce Heames, and I'm chair of the Department of Management in the College of Business and Economics. I'm originally from Ewan, Alabama, and got my PhD at the University of Mississippi in Oxford. Community-based learning is important for every student. We had the privilege in the College of Business and Economics to have an alum to recognize that. And he came to the college 11 years ago and said, I want to be a part of this. After being out in the business world for a while, he realized that it was such an integral part of what he was doing in the field of accounting and others. So he asked us to start a community-based learning class. That has morphed into more than just community-based learning in terms of community service. It is a full-blown corporate social responsibility class now. So part of our class is teaching as individuals how to give, but also as corporations how to give, and what is the ethical, moral thing that a company should do for the community. Corporate social responsibility is listed under Mang 480 or Management 480. It is a course about that only 20 students are allowed to take. They have to do the 30 hours of community service, 20 as an individual and then 10 as a group. They have the corporate project where they give away the $20,000. But beyond that, they also learn about the business side of it. So they have an opportunity to go out and interview companies, ask them what criteria they use to give money away. They also interview nonprofits and say, how do you solicit your funds? How do you get your money to be able to live on from week to week? First and foremost, the basic skill is a knowledge of their own commitment to community-based learning, to corporate social responsibility, to philanthropic work. We start the class off by them reading an article, really it's an essay, that was written by Andrew Carnegie in 1912. It's called The Gospel of Wealth. And his whole premise is that go out, make as much money as you can, as an individual or as a corporation, but then be a good steward of your money. Give it back in such a way that impacts and has the greatest impact on the most people for the longest period of time. His contribution was building libraries, and he has built more libraries than anybody in the history of time, because as a poor Scottish man, that was his only way of learning. So that's his whole thing, is make money, but be a good steward of it and give it back. And I think that's what students take away from the class, is how to do that and how to look at a nonprofit and determine whether they're being a good steward of their money and of their resources, understanding what's good and what's bad in the organization. A course like this, a social learning, a community-based learning course, takes them to the next level. It makes them think about what they're learning and how to apply it in a nonprofit world, because we typically harp and plan and think about and strategize around making money, and that's great, we want to do that, but then what do we do with it and how do we give back? So it just takes them to the next level. The aha moments that students get, the most rewarding thing. When I have that group of students sitting around a boardroom table, and the process, we put out the RFP, request for proposal, the nonprofits send back their request for X amount of dollars for a very specific project. Each student has to take 2 or 3 packets home and analyze them based on how they've been taught to look at the financials, how they've been taught to look at the packets. They have a 2-page form they have to fill out. The first page says this is the amount of money they wanted, this is the project they were requesting it for, and page 2, deny, grant, partially grant, and then why that they feel that is important. Then they have to sign it and date it. Every semester, and to a student they'll say, man, that was harder than I thought. I'm not going to give that money to help with the rape victims, or I'm not going to give that money to help with the abused child. I'm not going to give this to the homeless shelter. They really have to stop and think about it. So it's those aha moments that, wow, this is harder than I thought it was, and it's something very important, and we can touch lives. Teaching this class has allowed me to take my passion for nonprofits and the community and help students to understand that it is about giving back. The best education in the world is wonderful. It can't be replaced, but it's what you do with that education and how you use it. Do it. Jump out. Be a part of it. Take on service-based learning courses so that more students can be exposed to it. They can be exposed to both the profit and the nonprofit world. It's a little daunting. It is a commitment. You do have to follow up. You have to get involved, get the students engaged. They have to do their community service, and you have to have the academic component to it. But it's rewarding for both the faculty member and the student. Students gain so much from hands-on, experiential-based learning classes, and I wish we could do more and more of those. And I think this is the epitome of such a thing. I don't teach those classes as much as I'd love to say I do. I don't, because I facilitate. Every class period, those students come in and they circle up. They're the ones who make the decisions. So if they have a decision to make that night, a different student volunteers each week to guide the class through their activities. They have to sign and date their forms. You say, wow, that's kind of silly and it's hokey. But there's a commitment there. Hey, you're serious about this. And I am. But students take so much more away from it when they are able to roll up their sleeves and get in there and participate.